Guys, what would actually happen to your brain and your entire life if you completely erased every single instant distraction for 30 days straight? Imagine this: zero endless scrolling on short form videos, zero adult content or instant gratification traps, and zero mindless video gaming. Every single drop of your free time, the hours you usually burn staring at a glowing rectangle, is redirected entirely toward meaningful, productive endeavors. Would your life become unbearable, gray, and hopelessly boring? Would you feel left behind by the rest of the world? Or would something far more radical happen beneath the surface of your conscious mind? Most of us surrender virtually all our idle cognitive bandwidth to our smartphone screens. But if you take that screen away and hold the line for 30 days, the physiological and mental transformation isn't just noticeable, it will completely shock you. We are going to dissect the precise week by week biological and psychological shifts that take place when you reclaim your mind. If you follow this challenge, you won't just break a bad habit, you will re-engineer your neural architecture and restore your brain to the high-performance machine it was originally designed to be. Make no mistake, the opening 72 hours are an absolute battlefield. You must not expect this initial window to be smooth or peaceful because your brain is going to revolt. During these first 3 days, you will witness the sheer power of subconscious habit loops. You'll find yourself instinctively reaching into your pocket, picking up your phone and unlocking the screen before you even realize what you're doing. You'll stare at a blank home screen in genuine confusion, suddenly acutely aware that you don't actually know what to do with your own hands. In your mind, a clear loop plays out. An idle moment triggers a reflexive phone grab, which leads immediately to anxiety and confusion when the distracting app isn't there. Why does this happen? Because for months or years you have trained your neurological reward pathway to expect cheap, effortless hits of dopamine. Swiping a finger yields a brand new stimulus. Type a comment, tap a button, watch a 15-second clip, and your brain gets a micro hit of satisfaction without demanding a single ounce of genuine effort or patience. When you suddenly sever this supply, your brain experiences what neuroscientists refer to as a dopamine deficit state or an acute withdrawal phase. Withdrawal isn't reserved exclusively for chemical substances. It occurs whenever the brain is abruptly deprived of a chronic, high-volume source of hyperstimulation. This manifests as physical restlessness, heightened irritability, severe boredom, and an inability to focus on basic tasks. You feel a persistent phantom void throughout your day. Many people quit right here, convincing themselves that this challenge isn't for them. But this aggressive friction is actually the ultimate proof of how deeply dependent your brain was on instant digital stimulation. If you survive the initial withdrawal, congratulations. But now you hit the real mental grind. In this second phase, the environment around you grows quiet, and life suddenly feels aggressively mundane. Reading a book feels torturously slow. Exercising feels like an uphill slog. Spending 30 minutes practicing a new skill feels 10 times harder than it used to. Why? Because your brain is still measuring productive activities against the unnatural, hyperpalatable dopamine spikes it used to get from instant entertainment. Think of your brain's reward system like your physical taste buds. On one hand, you have hyperpalatable digital junk food like social media, PMO, or endless gaming. This artificially floods your receptors, causing your dopamine receptor density to drop. On the other hand, you have natural, effortful real food like reading, exercise, or skill building. This yields steady, gradual dopamine, but requires real effort before the reward. If you eat high sugar, artificial junk food every single day, eating an apple tastes completely bland. The apple isn't bad, your baseline taste sensitivity is just completely burnt out. The exact same phenomenon happens to your attention span. Reading isn't inherently painful, and learning a complex skill isn't naturally agonizing. Rather, your baseline threshold for stimulation has been pushed so high that normal real-world tasks can't compete. During this phase, as you attempt to pick up calisthenics, study a foreign language, or dive into graphic design, your brain still struggles because it's holding out for a quick dopamine fix. But paying attention to this internal friction is the turning point. You begin to realize that your phone wasn't just a communication tool. It was a digital pacifier you used to escape every single second of discomfort or idle time. For those who remain disciplined through the midpoint of the challenge, something incredible begins to happen. The friction starts to fade. Tasks that felt like absolute torture a week ago begin to feel manageable, then engaging, and eventually deeply satisfying. Workout sessions no longer feel like a forced punishment. They become an outlet you look forward to. Reading a book chapter no longer triggers an unbearable itch to check notifications. Your brain is undergoing a physical structural transformation known as neuroplasticity. When you sustain the removal of superstimuli and combine it with repeated effortful focus, your neural pathways recalibrate. Because you starved your brain of artificial high-volume dopamine spikes for nearly 2 weeks, your neurological system adapts by upregulating its receptors. Your baseline sensitivity normalizes. You start deriving genuine satisfaction from effort-driven rewards. Completing a tough workout routine, finishing a dense chapter of a book, or building a new skill creates a long-lasting, grounding sense of accomplishment. These small wins accumulate. Unlike the fleeting, superficial high of a viral video, which vanishes from your memory within 30 seconds, the progress you make in the real world builds tangible self-worth. By the third week, the primary transformation is no longer just about resisting distractions. It's about the massive activation of your cognitive capacity. You unlock a state of focus that has become exceedingly rare in modern society. Sitting down for 2 or 3 hours of unbroken, uninterrupted work is no longer an agonizing struggle. It becomes your default operating state. You enter what psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi defined as flow state, or what author Cal Newport calls deep work. In an era of endless digital noise, the ability to execute deep, uninterrupted focus is no longer just a good habit. It is an economic and cognitive superpower. In today's world, access to information is no longer a bottleneck. Anyone with an internet connection can learn how to code, design, write, or build a business. The real differentiator between those who succeed and those who stagnate is the ability to maintain uninterrupted focus long enough to master and execute complex tasks. When you transition into learning real-world skills like professional video editing, digital design, or software development, having access to genuine tools makes all the difference. For purchasing or subscribing to official apps and software licenses, you can simply get them at softbank.id. It keeps your workflow clean, official, and completely hassle-free, so you can stay locked into your deep work. When you eliminate digital micro-interruptions every 15 minutes, your learning rate doesn't just increase linearly, it compounds exponentially. You synthesize complex concepts faster, retain information longer, and produce work of significantly higher quality. Reaching day 30 marks far more than just winning a month-long challenge. It represents a fundamental shift in your core identity. You are no longer a passive consumer controlled by algorithms engineered by billionaire tech companies to capture your attention. You become an active producer, operating with intent, clarity, and self-mastery. Your old identity was stimulus-driven, reactive, high anxiety, and low growth. Your new identity is effort-driven, proactive, deeply focused, and anchored in skill mastery. When free time appears in your schedule, your brain no longer defaults to an automatic addictive reach for a screen. Instead, it seeks out activities that build your mind, your physical health, or your financial future. You have restored your brain's internal reward system to its natural evolutionary state, where high reward is earned exclusively through high effort. To recap this 30-day evolution step by step, in days 1 to 3, your brain is in severe withdrawal, fighting phantom phone checks and restlessness, leading to the realization of how deep your digital addiction was. In days 4 to 10, your baseline calibrates. You face deep boredom and low motivation for hard tasks, uncovering the true limits of your attention span. In days 11 to 20, neuroplastic adaptation takes over. As you stay consistent, your receptors upregulate, and real effort begins to feel deeply rewarding. In days 21 to 29, you hit flow state and hyperfocus. You manage massive energy increases productively and acquire the deep work superpower. By day 30 and beyond, you complete an identity transformation, sustaining a new baseline lifestyle defined by self-mastery and restored neural balance. Every single book you finish, every workout session you complete, every line of code you write, and every real skill you sharpen stays with you permanently. They build real-world confidence, self-respect, and tangible value. Compare that to the thousands of hours spent scrolling through trivial content that leaves your mind the moment you swipe to the next video. If your life currently feels chaotic, unfocused, or trapped in a loop of low discipline, don't wait for a miraculous wave of motivation. Test yourself. Try this reset for just 7 days, or even start with 3 days. Cut off the instant stimulation, embrace the quiet friction, and direct your energy toward a single meaningful pursuit. Watch how fast your mind heals, how sharp your focus becomes, and how much power you truly hold when you take back control of your own attention.